There are many debates going on, even among American Christians today. The so-called progressive Christians, these terms aren't always helpful, but let's call them the so-called progressive Christians, and the so-called Bible-believing or conservative Christians are many times talking past each other, arguing against each other, and it's not very productive. And an illustration that came to mind recently for me was the idea of barnacles, those little nasty crustaceans that affix themselves underneath the boat, and remembering that barnacles are not the boat. Imagine the boat is the Christian life, and the barnacles are anything attached to the boat that have nothing to do with it. Well, so-called progressive Christians are really willing to flip over our boat, if you will, and look at the barnacles and say to us conservative Christians, hey, you guys are too much in bed with certain politicians, and you guys are unwilling to look at these implications of the gospel for charity, etc. And so they're usually very willing to look and scrape at the barnacles. A lot of us as conservative Christians, we tend to just want to go on our merry way and not even consider barnacles because we're just confident that what we understand the Christian life to be is in fact just a boat. There's no barnacles underneath there. So we go on our happy way, just floating away. And yet barnacles, if unattended, will eat into the integrity of the boat. But also what will eat into the integrity of the boat is when you scrape. You have to scrape, but if you keep scraping and scraping, you can scrape into the hull of the boat. So really, in an interesting sort of irony, both of us are vulnerable to missing out on the integrity of the Christian faith. Some of us miss it because we're unwilling to look at the nasty barnacles that maybe we think, oh, this is part of being a faithful Christian. It really doesn't have much to do with it. And that's going to eventually compromise our boat, our Christian life. And others maybe are just saying, oh, I love to flip over the boat and scrape and scrape and scrape, but scraping so far that the integrity of the boat, of the Orthodox faith, actually is compromised. So I think, at least visually, this is a way to ask the question when we're in conversation or even a debate with someone that we kind of view as, having a very different view on the Christian life, even though they call themselves a Christian, of saying, what constitutes the boat? What is the boat and the boat alone? And what are the barnacles? At least as an image, it gives us something to look at and to consider to say, what is non-negotiable and what is negotiable?